good morning. Thank you so much for being here today. Would you mind just quickly introducing yourselves?
I'm Ann Shultes.
And I'm Larry Shultes.
Wonderful. I'm so glad that you're both joining us today. I wonder, before we get into the details of your volunteering experience, if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit about your background. If you'd like to go first.
Oh, okay. I'm retired. I was a journalist, reporter for the Intelligencer newspaper, which is in Doylestown, Pennsylvania. And I covered news of the various communities, also wrote some features, also did some editing.
So you're a writer.
Oh, I like to write. Yes, I'm a writer.
She's a good writer.
A good writer.
I'm a very correct writer.
I understand within the specific style that you had. I understand completely. And how about you? What background? What industry were you in?
I was in the insurance industry. I was an actuary, and I worked for the Prudential Insurance Company in northern New Jersey and near Philadelphia for about 33 years, and I'm retired.
I see. Actuarial science, was that your...
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. Now, one of the things that I'm thinking now that I've just heard your backgrounds is how you stumbled upon recording for the blind and dyslexic, which is now Learning Ally. Who wants to kind of talk about how you found us?
Well, I was the first one who found it. I was looking for something to do because I had just retired. I was looking for volunteer work. And I read in the New York Times an article about the annual recordathon, which was just taking place. And so, and then of course I could see that it was not that far away from where I lived, and I came over and volunteered to take part in it.
So let me guess, did you get Mr. Shultes interested, or how did that actually happen?
I have been volunteering for about 4 years, and one of our really good people in both reading and production, Phyllis Brannon, was going away on a long trip, and at that time we recorded with reel-to-reel tapes. And so then to get it out to the client, it had to be transferred onto a cassette, which the client would then receive. Well, Phyllis did a lot of that work, and I don't even know how it's done, but how it is transferred. And I realized she would be away for a month, and I said to somebody who was in charge, I think my husband could do this, and I went and talked to him about it, because something like that is something that he enjoys, the more technical role. And so I said, why don't you come on over and see if you could help us, and he did. And so he's been here ever since.
I was going to be here for a couple months, but it's now 12 years.
So it's grown on you. You think you're going to hang around for a while.
Yeah.
And how about you, Mr. Shultes? How long have you been volunteering? I'm just curious.
I think it's almost 20 years. I think it's 19 years.
That's fantastic. That's awesome. And in the time that you've both been here, what have been your different roles within the organization?
Well, do you want me to start? Well, I read, and I also direct readers. I've gotten to doing a lot of the pre-production, which is when you enter the book into the computer so that the reader can work with it, and even set it up so it can be entered in there like that. And then also, that's one of the main things I do. I also can bookmark. I also, and of course direct. I can direct, and basically that's it. It's the pre-production plus also recording. I can read as a self-director, which is something that came in at some point that not everybody would have to be directed. So then I volunteer for that.
So you kind of run the gamut. Is there one area that you prefer over another? Just curious.
I really like doing that computer work where you enter the book into the system. And everybody enjoys reading. I enjoy reading. I'm not the greatest reader. I've got kind of a gravelly voice. Some of our readers are superb readers. We have a man who's he is in the family of the actress Elsa Lanchester. And this man, when he reads, and he is an actor himself, and when he reads, you realize this is what a reader should be. This is the ideal reader. I'm not the ideal reader, but I like to read.
Would you like to read?
Yeah.
That's fair. How about you, Mr. Shultes?
Well, as Ann said, I came in to do the post-production work where we transcribed the book from a reel of tape to cassettes and mailed it out to the students. And and I continued to do that as long as we did it. We stopped doing it a few years ago, but then I got into directing. I would direct the readers, and I would do checking. And now I'm still mostly in the post-production operation. I do checking, I do correcting and what we call smiling, which is where you actually send the book off to the home office so they can create the material for the students.
So there's a wealth of experience. Have you ever had an opportunity to work together by any chance?
Very occasionally.
Every once in a while I would direct her, but they don't do much directing anymore. It's most self-directing. So I did have occasion to direct her. And when I'm doing correcting, if I'm doing a French book and I need somebody to read French, which I can't do very well, I'd ask Ann to help me with the corrections in French.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing. Is there anything else that you'd like to add before we wrap this up? Any other final words about your experience overall working with Learning Ally?
Well, I've made some good friends here, and I've admired some of the very talented people that work here, and I have learned things. One time I was reading a book. This was when I had a director, and there was a big exclamation mark, and I said, exclamation mark. I didn't know what to say as I was reading along. My director stopped me. She said, "That's a factorial. You're supposed to say factorial." I mean, that's the kind of thing that you learn. I'm not mathematical. I don't know a factorial, but now, I saw it. I got it. Just you don't know what you're going to learn. You have no idea from the book that you're reading or from the people you're working with. You don't know what you might learn that day.
That's the awesome part about it.
Yeah, I think it's, you meet some interesting people and you get introduced to some very interesting books and the material that you wouldn't otherwise get involved with. And occasionally I end up, buying one of those books and taking it home to read because it's so interesting.
Yeah, we've done it several times, unfortunately, because we already have too many books. Now we're getting, but now instead of fewer and fewer books, we're getting more and more books. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. This has been fantastic. We really do appreciate your time, and thanks for all that you do for the organization.
Thank you for inviting us.